If you thought the last hard mode puzzle in the hospital was a tad unfair, brace thyself for yet another well-written but terribly unfair puzzle, the crematorium puzzle, also known as the Cock Robin puzzle. Here are some timestamps for you, because there's a lot of reading in this one. I get it if you want to skip it, it's fine. Once Heather is in the other world of Brookhaven Hospital, you can beeline straight to B3 if you want, and behold a hellish riddle. Ugh, why did I write it like that? The third basement houses the crematorium. It's got 10 gurneys labeled numerically all around the room, one of which is vacant, by the way, and the oven itself is locked with a 4-digit padlock. On the door of the oven is a poem. Burn the one who knows no death, pure, adored by those above, no prayers within, just simple love. And now the pining hunter, the flames longing for his rebirth, a distant breath within the earth. Burn up that heavy body of his, make it wind dancing in the sky, that bottomless gut, now a cloud, now a sigh. The sweet blood on his laughing lips now calls him to the gates of hell, there burns evermore that soulless shell. 4 bodies return to ashes, thus the door is opened, thus the door is opened. And if we examine the gurneys in numerical order, we get multiple poems about multiple birds with multiple problems. Who killed Cock Robin? The sparrow, they said. He wants them all dead. To him, honey sweet is their sobbin'. The owl who forgot the sky, resigned to his poor earthbound state, hungry or full, didn't matter at all. He ate, and he ate, and he ate. The grass the thrush so loved to eat gave him sweet happiness. He sank ever deeper and finally fell to destruction and fatal distress. Cock Robin, who hid the key away, is ash in the oven all right. The place he held is empty now, and the doors remain shut tight. The lark's child lost all his words and walled himself up all away, heart and mouth both locked up tight in a cage where none want to stay. The dove's hope died, he chose his path, his flapping wings fell still. Drenched in scarlet here they lay, his cheeks pale white and chill. He seeks out her soul by his own black ambition, frightening her out of her wits, whispering love songs into her ear, what cruel linnet wants he gets. The black rook is the praying sort who hears the gods in the skies. His whispered petitions go on without end, and glassy and dim are his eyes. The wren with pure heart, as yet unrefined, makes us laugh with his feeble lip smacking. But still we all know he shall never grow old, and he knows not how much he is lacking. The kite, hot, crazy and panting mad, sweet shackles that tease and excite. Death itself would drive him wild, red blood that turns milky white. At least it's less gory than the previous puzzle, sheesh. Here's some hints if you guys want them in 3, 2, 1. Hint 1. We gotta narrow down 4 of these 10 birds using that poem on the oven door. Which verse is most likely to be representing which bird? Hint 2. Here's the tricky part. The code you came up with is probably not correct. You might think you identified the wrong birds, but what if you got the birds right, but the order is wrong? How would you get the right order? So how do we approach this one? Our task is to figure out which 4 of these 10 birds represented by the numbered gurneys are the birds the door poem is referencing. Let's go the simple route here. Pure. Does the word pure show up in any of the poems? Indeed, the wren's poem mentions his pure heart, and there you go. Another similarity here is that this wren, bless his unrefined heart, is so intellectually stunted that he will never grow old, so he probably doesn't even understand the concept of death. Or you could read the line, "Burn the one who knows no death," a little bit more literally if you want. Perhaps it means a bird who doesn't die in its own poem. This can work too because it immediately eliminates the thrush, cock robin, and the dove. No prayers within also implies that we can eliminate the rook, that religious bird from earlier. So the birds that are left after that are the sparrow, owl, lark, linnet, wren, and kite, which really shrinks down your options when looking for the most pure and adored bird out of that gang. But whatever, when it comes down to it, this one is definitely the wren. This second verse is pretty vague, but you can always come back to it later if you want to eliminate a few other birds first. So the only big tell here is that he's pining. Let's think about the word pining for a second. It means to suffer a mental and physical decline, especially because of a broken heart. So we're looking for a lovebird here, right? Kind of. He's also a hunter, so he's hunting his love like prey. Sounds like a stalker to me. And that linnet sure does sound like a stalker. Because he is, literally. If you listen closely upon approaching this gurney. Ooh, yikes. Okay, corpse number 7 is actually our very own stalker from this hospital level, Stanley Coleman. He'd been leaving Heather creepy declarations of love this whole time, which, didn't end up working out. The happy birthday caller, which you can run into before or after this puzzle, also references that Stanley is corpse number 7.
I'm not your beloved Stanley either. He's underground now. His new name is Number 7.
So yes, Stanley is the cruel linnet, the pining hunter, number 7. Oh, that one's straightforward, isn't it? I know a bird with a bottomless gut, he's right over here! This is the only bird whose poem focuses on eating. I mean, the thrush did eat grass, but his weight didn't seem to be much of a factor in his poem, whereas this guy's heavy body resigned him to a poor earthbound state. Seems like the owl, number 2, is a shoo-in. And lastly, well, okay, that's also pretty vague. Firstly, we're dealing with a real bastard of a bird here. He's got blood on his lips, or beak, and he's laughing about it? What an asshole! So we can eliminate all the birds that don't seem like bastards, as well as the birds we've already used for the code. So that leaves only the sparrow, cock robin, and the kite. And we don't really know the personality of cock robin, and the kite seems to have more of a boner for himself dying than causing anyone else harm. Weird bird right there.
Don't kink shame the birds.
And after all, the sparrow does stand accused of murder. In the original children's poem, because yes, this is based on a real children's poem, thanks England, the sparrow flatly admits to killing cock robin. So yes, the murderer is being called to hell for the sin of killing cock robin, thus the last digit is 1. And there you have it, the code must be 9721. Oh great, it's not. That's not the code, because of course that's not the code. There's some other stupid thing going on that makes it something else. How the hell is anybody supposed to solve any of these goddamn things? Okay, where did we go wrong this time? What's the secret bullshit trick to this one? Okay, game, you've stomped my love of puzzles into a gritty paste by now. Let me tell you right here and now that the code isn't 9721. It's 9271. So why? Why are we supposed to switch the owl and the linnet in the order? Well, it seems like the fandom kind of reverse engineered some justifications for this. Most fans, including the Silent Hill Wiki and the Konami official guide, believe that the code is this simply because the second verse is meant to be the owl and the third is meant to be the linnet. The guidebook puts forth the theory that this partially has something to do with the colors implied by the door poem, comparing them to the natural colors of the linnet. And no shade intended toward the poor dude who wrote the guidebook with very little support or corrections from Konami, but I can't help but laugh a little bit at the line, "There's no need to run to the library just yet," as if a linnet's colorization is somehow more of a common knowledge thing than some English children's book. Anyway, this tactic leads to the owl being the second number and the linnet being the third. Meanwhile, the Silent Hill Wiki has its own convoluted justification for why the second verse is the owl and the third is the linnet. The second verse and the Song of the Owl both allude to the earth. The owl is also depicted as a hunter who is no longer able to fly. Therefore, the second number in the code is 2, the Song of the Owl. And by the way, this was also the guidebook's supposition as well. The third verse is arguably the most difficult as there's no direct clue to which bird it refers to. It turns out the verse is based on the Song of the Linnet, which is attached to Stanley's body. As the mysterious voice on the locker phone said Stanley is number 7. Stanley's diaries are clues in relation to the third verse of the poem, as his bottomless gut refers to his bottomless hunger for love, and that heavy body of his, make it wind dancing in the sky, refers to his wish to fly from the hospital's rooftop, but he can't, being human. His body's too heavy, and thus by burning his body and turning it into ash, you would be making it wind, allowing him to dance in the sky and fulfill his wish. Just as well, in relation to the bird itself, the linnet is known to eat 3 times its weight in seeds, sometimes to the point of being unable to fly. Furthermore, Stanley sighs Heather's name as she approaches his body, thus the third number in the code is 7, the Song of the Linnet. As seen above, it's also been theorized by fans that this poem expects the player to have knowledge of the diets of the real-life birds it's based on. What? Even the TV tropes page thinks that's true. It's not. I mean, I don't blame people for thinking you might need some obscure outside knowledge to do this puzzle correctly because of some previous events that have taken place in this very game. Me, however, I simply thought that this was another case of an accidental code switcheroo, like what happened with the hospital keypad puzzle. A programmer or somebody messed up and programmed the wrong code into the game or something. However, none of these explanations are true. That's my mind getting blown, oh my god. For more than 15 years, maybe every Silent Hill player has been solving this puzzle wrong. So far as I can tell, at least. I googled around and I only found a single post solving the crematorium puzzle in the intended way. And it turns out that this guy also got his info from the same source as me. And that source is the translator of the puzzle, Nora Stevens-Heath. So, what's the secret of this puzzle? According to Nora, there are 4 numbers in the pin, from the top to the bottom: heaven, sky, within the earth, and hell. Wait, what? Let me explain. In case you didn't notice, and I didn't notice it, honestly, each verse of the Oven Doors poem contains a reference to a layer of reality. The Wren's verse contains the phrase, adored by those above. It's talking about heaven. The Linnet's verse contains within the earth. The Owl's verse is referencing the sky multiple times, wind, sky, clouds. And the Sparrow, well, he's going to hell. We've got heaven, earth, sky, and hell. If you rearrange the birds in the order from the top layer to the bottom layer, only the linnet and the owl's positions get switched, making the code 9271 instead of reading the poem from top to bottom and ending up with 9721. How can such a simple thing be bullshit? Well, there's absolutely nothing in this whole crematorium that implies that the player must rearrange the Oven poem's order in the first place, let alone hint at how you're supposed to do that. And that, my friends, makes it unfair. It's a bad puzzle, guys. The player may well as order them alphabetically for all they know, or by the size of the bird for all they know, or try it backwards, arrange them by, their diets. Something I thought was interesting, which the Silent Hill wiki definitely would have picked up on if they weren't so busy imagining totally bonkers symbolism for Silent Hill 3's monsters. The Slurpers are slurping up drugs off the ground? Anyway, what I'm saying is that I'm very surprised that the wiki didn't read into the birds' poems more. There's no mention of what these birds might symbolize, even though it's actually pretty obvious. These birds are all describing the corpses on the gurneys, all of them being patients of a mental hospital. So these are all the bodies of people with mental illnesses or disabilities. Warning, some of these descriptions might be a bit crude. Keep in mind that it was the very early aughts when these were written. According to Nora's old translation notes from Konami, Sparrow. This signifies the body of a lust murderer. He enjoys making others suffer. It feels as sweet as honey to snuff out a life. However, it's not clear if he really did kill Cock Robin. Owl. This signifies the body of a person with bulimia. Forgot the sky is a coded way of saying he was so fat he was no longer able to fly. Thrush. This signifies the body of a drug addict. Grass here is drugs. Sweet happiness is drug-induced hallucinations. Sank ever deeper describes the process of becoming addicted. Cock Robin. This body isn't here, only the message remains on the gurney. The oven refers to the crematory, so this is telling the player that the key is inside. The doors remain shut tight means that the person designated as Cock Robin has hidden the key, and its corresponding door can no longer be opened. Lark. This signifies the body of a person with autism. Lost all his words refers to a common symptom of autism. Walled himself up and where none want to stay refer to disliking interactions with others. Burger note. Back when the game was developed, autism wasn't very well known as the spectrum it is today, so this is a very outdated definition of the condition. Dove. This signifies the body of a suicide victim. Losing hope and jumping is conveyed with his flapping wings fell still. Red refers to blood, while white refers to being drained of blood. Linnet. This signifies the body of a stalker. It describes doggedly following someone, getting in their way, etc., all out of his own greed and desires. Rook. This signifies the body of a religious zealot. Whispered petitions go on without end describes him muttering under his breath in a public place to no one in particular, while glassy and dim are his eyes is a coded reference to his mental instability. Wren. This signifies the body of someone with an intellectual disability. Feeble lip smacking is due to a developmental disability. He knows not how much he is lacking, points to him being unaware of the negative aspects of being disabled in this way. Kite. This signifies the body of a masochist, which explains the sweet shackles that tease and excite. Red blood refers to him being injured, while turns milky white is a coded reference to the resulting semen. Yikes, that's a horny bird! I hope nobody can hear me recording this. That's a weird thing to hear out of context. But yeah, none of these symbolic readings of the birds are mentioned anywhere online so far as I could find, except for that guy from earlier, but again, that's because he was also chatting to Nora about it. And that's the crematorium puzzle. Oddly, it has pretty much nothing to do with finding out who killed Cock Robin. But wow, 2 super hard puzzles in one level. Crazy, right? Stay tuned though, we've still got one more puzzle left in this game, as well as a secret puzzle that gives us a code for an unlockable costume. If you didn't know already, I'm doing a comprehensive Let's Play of Silent Hill 3 if you were interested in checking out the whole game and not just the hardest puzzles from it. But anyway, thanks for watching, see you then!